Have you actually spent the time to go through, help me become a more effective dialer? You might be the worst person cold calling. I speak to 5 times more decision makers than you, period. One of the biggest problems with cold callers is that they are technically inept or technically checked out when it comes to all of the parts that actually can make you an effective cold caller. Let me explain what I mean. So many cold callers are not comfortable with the technology that drives anything that relates to volume-based dialing. So what I mean by that is having familiarity with all of the systems that make up the full cold calling experience. So typically that's a dialer. So how many cold callers actually get really familiar with the full functionalities of a dialer? Because often we're not making use of all of the power that's available to us with the most modern dialers. So at Pearl Lemon, as you know, we use Cloud Talk. Have you actually spent the time to go through all of the features of Cloud Talk to understand how could this help me become a more effective dialer? Because often it's processes that can determine the success that you have. The way that I liken it to is ultimately, if your laptop, or rather Cloud Talk, is your office, if you think of it in those terms, the person who can get quickest to the office and the person who can use their office in the most optimized way can then execute the work more efficiently. So then oftentimes it's not the quality of the person who's calling, it's all of the technology that they've utilized and optimized to help them make sure they effectively get more talk time with the right people. Because then if you're getting a 5-to-1 return in terms of talk time, that might be the actual very thing that's stopping you from being successful. You might be technically not the most able, you might be the worst person cold calling, but you have the best process, which means I speak to 5 times more decision makers than you. So as long as I can mumble through my pitch, I'm going to book more appointments than you, period. So when you think about it in those terms, one of the things that I sometimes think that cold callers, what you could all miss as an opportunity, is really get to know the systems that you use. And there's a couple of areas when you think about it. Number one, it's the dialer that you live in. Number two, it's list building. When you have the ability to understand how lists are built and you can build your own lists because you understand the process, that's going to weaponize your ability to get things done. What you always want to do as a cold caller and in sales is build self-reliancy, because that's then how you become indispensable in any organization. I can rely upon myself to generate all of the outcomes and all of the answers. I don't need anybody. And I recognize over time that's going to make me indispensable, because then I could just do everything by myself. That increases my utility to the company. That increases my usefulness. It increases my market value. It increases how much I can get paid. This is exactly how I built my career as a cold caller, because I thought, let me take control of the reins. And what happens is you're technically inept, meaning that you don't bother to learn these things, or you're technically checked out. You stop thinking about learning these things because you assume it's someone else's responsibility. But if you take ownership back and say, you know what, it can't be that hard, you often discover that it wasn't that hard. It took me a couple hours figuring out this, and that gave me ultimately infinite returns. So any area where you can look at something with a degree of intensity, so that would be in this instances, we use, for example, at Pearl Lemon, a Google Map scraper. There's many, many Google Map scrapers out there that exist. We happen to use Apify. Have you really played with Apify to understand its full power? Have you really thought about, well, we're going to be building lists using Google Maps as a fundamental part of what we do. It makes real sense for me to just understand, how does it work? How can I make best use of it? What are the keywords that I can use? What is the best way to scrape? How can I get more of XYZ number? How can I do that? Now that I've got this list, how can I more quickly upload it into Cloud Talk? How can I set appropriate tags? How can I dial? So thinking about all of these pieces leading up to the actual dial can get you 3 to 4 to 5 to 1 returns. It's the difference between 2 appointments a day and 7 appointments a day. And you can do all of that without even improving your pitch. You can do all of that without even thinking that, oh, you know what, it's my pitch. A lot of you bang your head against the wall because you say, I only spoke to like 7 decision makers today. And then you think, right, I've got to make the most of the decision makers I speak to. Whereas rather you might say, well, how can I speak to 70 decision makers a day? What do I need to change with the process leading up to the actual call? So understand what all of your systems are. If you carry on through the layers, there's a couple. First of all, if you're remote, it's your Wi-Fi or your internet. We have an office in Islamabad, and I had to walk them through the upgrade of their internet, because now that I'm getting superior returns from the whole office, because as an example, most people have a modem that's given to them by your local internet supplier, right? Whoever's common in South Africa or common in the UK or common in Nigeria or common anywhere in the world, and they just use the device that you're given. But actually, the device that you're given by your internet supplier is not the best device for amplifying your internet connection at all. So you can pay to get a new modem that's best in class, that massively amplifies your internet signal. Because what happens is you get a powerful internet signal, it comes through to a shitty modem, and that distorts the quality of the signal that comes through. Whereas you can pay for an upgrade, and then it actually keeps the actual momentum and strength going at that level. So a lot of people aren't aware of that. As an example, so think about your entire system, like your car. This is the vehicle that you're going to be driving every day that's going to get you to work. And your work really begins when you're speaking to a decision maker. So how can you craft and create an environment such that everything leading up to that moment is optimized, well-oiled, working? So then we've got your internet. So it pays to understand, these are my constraints. I live here. This is my internet. This is my router. This is what I pay for. Without spending any more money, or without spending money on an ongoing basis, what can I do to vastly improve the internet signal that I'm getting? Then you get some answers. Layer one. Layer number two, your device. Great. This is the device that I'm using. These are the issues that I experience. Here's my specifications. Here's my laptop. Here's the operating system I use. What can I do to get a clearer signal and a quicker signal and a faster load time for everything that I use? Layer number two. Great. Then we start getting to the map scraper. I want to upload Google Maps listings from Appify. Walk me through tutorial, everything that I need to know to produce the best lists. These are my operating constraints. Do you see how you can go through each of those parts? This is something that you spend your Saturday doing. Figure it out. Be like, wow, I've rebuilt my entire system to make sure now, whilst David is having a cup of coffee and figuring out his steps to get set up in the dialer, I'm already flying and dialing and talking to decision makers because I've optimized my engine for success. So don't be one of those people who are technically inept or technically checked out, because you want to get to work quicker and more effectively than anyone. And there's so much technology that's out there to support you, but it's just a case of ultimately making utilization of everything that's available to you. You do that, you'll see the transformation that you get. So if you're not spending a day, because all it really takes is the day to scratch your brain, figure out all of these steps and think, what can I do? What don't I see? Use GPT to help guide you, make all of the requisite changes. And then please do, come Monday, report back to me and say, you know what? I took your advice. I spent half a day figuring this all out. And oh my God, I made these series of changes. And I'm just excited to get on the phone now, because I'm already seeing the difference of how quickly I can build a list for myself. I don't need to ask the lead gen team to supply the list anymore. I'm building better lists than anyone for myself. My internet's just way, way faster. I didn't even have to spend more. I just realized I got an extended Ethernet cable from the other room. I jacked it in. I bought a new modem for $50. I did install it. It's made a massive difference. Everything's already much, much quicker. My internet doesn't drop out. I'm on the phone with decision makers more. Bang. I'm booking more appointments, D. Bang. I should really get paid more money now, because bang, here's the result. Does it make sense what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah?
Definitely makes sense.
So guys, let's get after it.